Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. As you can see, I'm on another Tim Holtz Stampers Anonymous mini cats and dogs, bird crazy and things set of cards. I think that's what we're going to have to call them because there's like three is a magic number. So I've got some very similar colors to the previous two videos where that was the biggest thing. Like if you're mass producing, then grab some colors and use them for across the board, because one, the cards will be cohesive and everything will sort of be matchy if you like that sort of thing, and two, because I was doing so many of these, it made sense to do that. So I've got some hickory smoke for the little cat, some vintage photo for the dog. I will use some candied apple and vintage photo for the bird. I try to make a red robin. Kind of worked. And I actually like how it turned out in the end. But you'll see it looks really red in a minute. So it's like, oh man, that looks like a disaster. But it actually worked out really nicely in the end. So I was quite happy. And then I used some carved pumpkin for his beak. I think I said about the touched rose for all the inside of the ears and the dog's tongue, because there's a rather large tongue. And I'm just going around and I've basically used the same sort of colours for everything, and just getting the colour on. My camera died, sorry. And I even cut out these little bows. Now the dies that you get with this, I did actually have the die set for this, which is shocking because I don't normally buy die sets for these things anymore. But this is years old for me. And so I grabbed the dies and die cut them out sort of manually, if you like. And the nice thing about that is that these dies cut right on the line. So even the inside of like the cat's legs, there's a couple of like gaps between the legs. It even cuts that out. It's so good. So really recommend that if that's your thing. I know I can do a very similar thing with the scan and cut. Some of it I still need to learn how to do that, but the stamp set for the sentiments is from my pink stamper called Winter Punnies, and I just picked some that worked with each animal, and you'll see that in a bit. And then these panels that I'm inking with some vintage photo as well as everything else are ones that I made using, I kind of experimented and used some baby wipes and used some stencils and embossing folders and some dye ink to create kind of a faux letterpress sort of thing. So if I forget to link them, because I usually do, then just let me know in the comments and I will put the link in, or just go back to my channel and you'll find them on there. I want to say they were fairly recent-ish, maybe this year, I think, 2020. And they should be in there, or they should be in one of the playlists that I've got for like fun techniques or something like that. But you'll find them. And they were good fun to make. I got to say the stencils were my favourite out of the two. I didn't have much or as much success with the embossing folders, but I know it can be done much better than I did it. But I was using baby wipes, so it was a total experiment. So I'm just getting all the panels ready. These are 4x4. I just cut them down to that, and then I've got some crumb cake Stampin' Up cardstock that I also inked the edge with some vintage photo. And these cards are 4 1/8 by 4 1/8, so it's an A4 card which measures 8 1/4 across, and then I cut it at 4 1/8 and then fold it at 4 1/8. You're just going to have a tiny border if you're going to do easier math on this. I like the American A2 size cards, but you know, sometimes it works out more economical if you can use what you've already got and get the most out of that piece of cardstock. So it's an 1/8 inch shorter or 1/4 of an inch, depending how you're looking at it. Anyway, I'm waffling now. So what I liked here is that I'm using dry adhesive, which from the last two sets of cards, last two videos, sorry, you'll see that that's the wet adhesive and vellum didn't work quite so well. I mean, it stuck, but it seemed to want to curl that paper up. So I changed and started to just use dry adhesive much better. I felt much happier with it, except for these tiny little things, of course, but it's not really a lot of adhesive here. And then what I'm doing is I'm putting them together and making them look like they're standing on top of their sentiments, kind of like the sentiments of boxes. It just turned out that way, and I think it worked really, really well. So for my little red robin, you see he's not so bad. He started out with a very red belly, but he's not too bad. And the more it dried, the better it sort of looked. So for him, he's got a little bow tie on, and I think it's so cute. So cute. And because I've popped him up on there, I'm actually, and it worked really well, my tape gun thing just glided across the back of the vellum. So I was really pleased that that worked out the way it did. And then I'm just sticking him to there. And then for the next one, I kind of had this idea that I would, obviously they're all going to get little hats and bow ties or bows, but don't they look cute? Like all these little accent, what do you call them, like accessories, all the little, what do they call them, the crazy things, or bird crazy and things, all the things that you get that die cut, and they're tiny, like those little what are they called, candy, words words, where are you, candy canes, hello, they're tiny, but it cuts them out so beautifully. So anyway, eventually I got his bow tie and the little candy canes. I thought I would hang them from his tail. I thought that'd be hysterical because he looks kind of terrified of them, and it's kind of the thing my cat would do if she had a load of candy canes on her tail. Actually, she'd probably just freak out, but anyway, so I did that just so that there was something fun about them, because once you've got all these things, it's like, okay, what do I do with all these bits now? So yeah, I thought that was kind of funny. So I thought I'd do that. And then also the fact that she's sort of turned around, or he's sort of turned around looking at his tail or looking behind him, I thought that made sense, that the candy canes were hanging off there. And then for this one, because of he's got such an enormous tongue, I couldn't put a bow tie on this guy. So I actually put the bow tie, which is now a bow rather than a bow tie, just onto her, I should say, little Christmas hat. And I thought that actually looked quite cute, so pretty chuffed with myself when I managed to work that one out. So it's funny how when you've got a whole bunch of these sort of things and you're trying to figure out where to put them, and you have one idea in your head, and then you're going, okay, well suddenly I was like, well, that's not going to work now, because the tongue is huge. So where would you put it, sort of thing. And so when you're playing around with things like this, it's really quite cool how you can suddenly go, hang on a second, what if I put it here? And now I'm going to tell you, one of Tim's videos, he actually said something along the lines, don't quote me on this, but along the lines of, if you're thinking what if, then you need to try it, because you'll be surprised at what can happen and what you can achieve. So always remember that. So I thought that was fantastic that he said that. I thought it was so brilliant. So I thought I'd share that with you guys too, if you haven't seen like all of his videos. Just saying. Anyway, so that's them. That's seriously voiceovers today. My God, I can't talk. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. This was kind of fun to finally use these papers, because I did say in those videos that I would do something with these papers that I created, and I'm really chuffed that I have done that now. And I hope you've enjoyed this, and I will see you next week for next week's installment of Madness. But I'm really pleased with next week's as well, so I will see you then. Bye.